What is good? What is good, chat? So today is gonna be a special stream, and I felt I had to do this. So Marlow, the used to be number one PvPer, and there's been a lot of drama going on, and Marlow finally responded to all the accusations, and I thought I had to do this on live. So hope you guys don't mind. We're gonna be watching Marlow's video, and yeah. Are you ready, guys? Are you ready? It's named The Full Context by Marlow. So let's see what happens. Hope you guys enjoy. Alright. This video is organized into sections. YouTube chatters are enabled to improve navigation. Okay. Wait. Hold up. Is that Marlow? Wait, did Marlow just face reveal? Okay. Wait, let me put the sound up. Oh my god, did Marlow just face reveal? There's no way that's Marlow, bro. What?
I just wanted to start out this video by saying that there's a
Holy AI voice? What the hell? I want to make sure you guys hear that, but it's crazy AI voice, bro. What's genuinely? What is that AI voice? Okay, hey, you guys can hear that. Let me put the quality. There we go. That's better. All right. Marlow responded. Let's watch this. There's no way that's
a
Marlow.
lot of things that I need to address. And in this video, I plan to discuss a lot of what's been going around on social media lately. Some of the allegations that have been circulating relate to who I am as a person, which is unfortunately why I've been forced to face reveal for this video.
There's no way that's Marlow. Do you guys think that's Marlow? Yeah. There's no way. That just genuinely doesn't look like Marlow. I mean, at the same time, no one knows what Marlow looks like, but what the hell? That's so weird. This is genuinely so weird. Wait, let me put. That's so weird, bro. Holy, I know the voice is so AI. I don't know if the actual person is, but we're gonna keep watching. All right, ready?
The best way to summarize the current situation is that there are three main allegations being made against me right now, which are cheating, committing theft, and being another person. The situation mostly started off with the first two allegations, but over time, it seemingly blew up and everything meshed together. Something I should probably clarify is that I had already been working on this video before the more recent allegations, so I'm actually recording this intro after having already made most of everything you're gonna see after.
Yeah. Why is she sitting in the bed? Like, this is a serious situation. Bro's just in her bed. Okay. I mean, let's keep watching, I guess. This is just the introduction.
Afterwards. The main reason I'm adding this intro in is to address the more recent Danger Mario allegations that Ximity made.
Alright. She says that the face reveal is to prove she's not Danger Mario. But she could be AI or an actor. Or just a man disguised as a woman. Like what?
Since the great majority of everything I had already included in this video is related to debunking the other allegations. With that being said, I need to come forward about the fact that the situation I'm in today has largely been negatively impacted by my own actions. Since there's some things that I haven't been upfront about with other people that have
No,
led
that
to a lot of the allegations
the headset is because she has a microphone. She's talking.
around me being more believable. Even though there's a lot of people making videos spreading misinformation or deliberately trying to get me cancelled, my own mistakes have definitely played a part in landing me in the position I'm in today, so I'd like to apologize for that. First of all, it's true that I've been using an AI voice for the last.
Okay, she just said it. She just said it. She said it was true that she was using an AI voice. Oh my gosh. Wait, that's massive.
And landing me in the position I'm in today, so I'd like to apologize for that. First of all, it's true that I've been using an AI voice for the last
She's AI. She's just AI, bro. What the hell?
few years. This is something I've lied about so extensively that I can't really blame people for a lot of the doubts
Why would you lie about your voice? Why would you just put an AI voice? What the hell?
they might have had regarding the type of person I am.
Are we dead ass? There's a ad, bro. Oh my gosh. Marlo is using an AI voice. I mean, I think everyone knew that, but that's crazy. Alright.
I'm going to be talking in my normal voice for the rest of the introduction.
Oh, what is that? Yo, what is that voice? That can't be Marlo's voice. What the hell? Oh my god.
I'm going to be talking in my normal voice for the rest of the introduction, but most importantly, I wanted to explain why I was using an AI voice and why I lied about doing so. So first of all, following the whole controversy regarding me being a man, I was actually planning on admitting to using an AI voice prior to posting this video.
What is that voice, bro? Huh, maybe you're using an AI voice? Bruh. Bruh.
For those of you who don't know, ever since later on into the cheating allegations, I've been under investigation from the administrators regarding all the videos being made against me. After Ximity's video, this amped up even further since the allegations had become severe enough to where I was becoming too much of a risk to everyone else. The other admins and I had been talking about meeting up in order to debunk the allegations, so we had a discussion about it in our groups. The problem is that within these discussions, the other staff members started to backtrack on the idea
It's very possible that Danger Mario could appear girly or partially transition.
of meeting up in person.
Oh, okay, so the admins didn't want to meet up in person with Marlo. Okay.
And they insisted on a video call. Previously, however, I had already been told that a video call was insufficient, since apparently there are advanced forms of AI that make it unreliable. Because of this, I knew that if I were to do a video call and admit to using my real voice, it would convince them that that's what I was already doing, since I had already been lying about using an AI voice. Using the AI voice for the video call wasn't an option either, since using it live has a delay of around 300 ms, which would be very obviously desynchronized. My only option was to keep lying about my voice until I could meet them in person so that I could prove I'm an actual human being. The issue is that I kept trying to arrange a meetup with the other staff members, but almost everyone rejected it. I also wasn't allowed to.
Okay, why did the other staff members not want to meet up with her? I don't get it. But again, this might be an actor. We don't know that it's actually Marlo. It might just be Danger Mario. Okay. I mean, that's really weird. I guess let's keep watching. But what the hell? Yeah. Alright, alright. Let's keep watching.
To meet up with my friend Rai Rai because the other staff thought he was suspicious. Part of what frustrated me about the whole situation was that I was being told that an in-person meetup was insufficient for proving that I'm not a man, because apparently a man could just transition their gender in the span of a week in order to convince people. Essentially, it felt like I was being treated as someone who was guilty, no matter what. But the problem is that I wasn't really given a full chance to explain my side of all the evidence.
What if she's like non-binary and that's why she used an AI voice? You gotta respect if that's true. I mean, we'll see. She's probably gonna say why she used an AI voice. What's good, Alpha? We're watching the Marlow vid.
An example of that is within PvP Rank's statement regarding me. They bring up how a username similar to my own was brought up a few hours before I changed mine on my main account. Therefore, I must be an alt. The issue is that this wasn't something they ever brought up with me, because if they did, they would have known that before my main account, I played on another account that had been discussing my username change before that. I think from their perspective, considering everything they had seen, it would be easy for them to be convinced by the evidence. From my perspective, I wasn't able to do much to defend myself until either releasing this video or meeting up with them and explaining everything in person. Unfortunately, all of this led to a rift in our relationship, and so I'd like to apologize for the fact that I couldn't be upfront about my usage of an AI voice in those moments.
Okay, so she just used an AI voice, but I don't think this is Marlo. This sounds nothing like her AI voice. And this sounds nothing like the voice she used in the first videos ever, because in the first videos, there was no AI. That's just not possible. I can pull up the first videos of Marlowww and compare to this voice. The fuck? The fuck happens? French. Why am I on Dr. Donut? Bro. I'm telling you that it's definitely not it's like generally not the same voice. Alright, my bad. Let's unmute this shit.
In person.
Alright.
I'm grateful for, since it helps a lot for verifying that I'm not AI, unless I am secretly a robot. I'm actually out of state recording this video from my hotel room.
She's out of state recording this from a hotel room. Why? Just why?
Since there's not much else for me to do right now.
There's not much else for you to do. So you're recording an intro. How does that make sense?
With all that being said, though, I want to explain why exactly I use an AI voice and why I wasn't ever upfront about it. For some background, my family, especially my mom, was always extremely overprotective of me, to the point where I wasn't really supposed to be using social media. For this reason, from a young age, I generally would try to alter the way I spoke online in the instance.
Oh, that's why she's using an AI voice. She said it was because her mom and her family didn't want her to be on YouTube, so she covered it up. I mean, okay, that's a valid reason, but is that actually her? I still think this is an actor, bro. I mean, let's see.
Voice was recorded, especially if I became bigger on social media later on. The issue with doing this was that my way of speaking wasn't suitable for full-length videos. And as I got older, I also just generally had more trouble doing it. For this reason, I eventually decided how to learn how to train AI voice models, so I trained one off of a dataset of my already altered way of speaking. I know this confused people, since a lot of community members and YouTubers vouched that they had done calls with me before realistic AI voice changers were a thing. So now you finally know the answer to that mystery. The reason I've denied using an AI voice for so long is because since the AI voice is based on an actual dataset of my own altered way of speaking in the past, I felt like it was acceptable to lie about since it wasn't someone else's voice. I also felt like admitting to using an AI voice would cause people to doubt that I'm an actual person and believe some of the crazy rumors people spread about me. In retrospect, my decision to lie about this wasn't a good idea, since it's actually provided people with a logical reasoning to believe all of the rumors being spread about me.
I just don't think this Marlowww. Does Marlowww even do if Marlowww does some PvP with handcam or PvP with this girl, this actor girl? If I see this actor girl doing PvP and destroying everyone, then okay, it's Marlowww. But do I see genuinely any no, there's no she does no hand cam. Like but she was a guy, why would that make a problem like in the ranks? Basically, the thing is that Danger Mario, who everybody thinks she is a manipulator, and you'll see the accusations later on. But you'll see.
I'm genuinely sorry for all of this, but I just happen to be someone that prefers to keep themselves more private, and so a lot of my behavior comes from that. I really do hate the fact that I'm having to face reveal for this video, but ultimately, to a degree, it's actions like these that have led me here in the first place. So with that being explained, there's another thing I definitely need to talk about. I have a feeling a lot of people are going to be upset about this, and in saying it, I have a feeling that I'll probably be cancelled pretty badly, since it pretty much affects my entire channel. The reason I'm going to say this is because even with the whole stealing and alting stuff being false, there's still a whole other layer that needs to be dealt with, which is the cheating allegations. I'm sure a lot of you have seen the clips of me hitting while looking in completely different directions and stuff like that. And those things.
Hold up. The cheating allegations weren't just hitting when looking in different directions. It was like perfect stun slams, perfect shield disabling. Like what? Okay, she might just have a shitty mic. Nah, I don't know, bro. This voice is weird.
all get explained very well later on in the video, but there are stronger pieces of evidence in the form of consistent tick timings and really smooth aim from my mace montage. A lot of people use this as evidence that I use macros and aim assist. The truth is, almost every montage on my channel is heavily staged. And by that, I mean the
Wait,
majority of clips are
wait, wait,
scenarios
wait,
that I
wait, wait.
replay.
She just said that her montages were staged, but we don't have any gameplay of Marlowww then, because all the videos we have then are staged.
A few times to create more variety in the montage. In two of my vanilla montages, I play a lot of the scenarios in a lower tick speed, which can
She slows down the speed. Yo, what? That is so bad. That is genuinely so bad. Because I know that there's some famous people that she's putting in her staged montages that are getting humiliated for being cooked. But she's just staging them. Wow.
contributes to why my aim tracking looks so surreal and why my timings are so consistent. The only montage on my channel that isn't heavily staged is a sword montage, since there isn't much variety within the game mode anyways. Even in that montage though, I know I staged at least a few clips. The reason that almost no one realized that I was doing this was because I actually do substantially beat the players you see in my montages, but just not necessarily in the exact manner you see in the clip. I try to be very intentional about the clips I include in my montages so that I can pace
Yeah,
them with
see, look. This is Rasplin. This is Rasplin. This is Rasplin. Rasplin is a really famous YouTube. Wait,
I try to
Rasplin.
be very
Rasplin is a really famous YouTuber that used to play so much Crystal PvP. Everybody hated on him, and he got humiliated after this montage because everybody thought that he really got cooked. But Rasplin genuinely said that it wasn't him, and it wasn't, and we know this now because she staged the montages. So she cooked him, but it was staged. That's just crazy.
intentional about the clips I include in my montages so that I can pace them with the music and include enough variety to give them replay value. I think if I had been honest about this from the beginning, that it wouldn't have been too big of a deal. But at this point, it's been something I've kept secret for years, and even after the cheating investigations on me. I'm actually under the impression that even if my montages weren't staged, that the evidence being used against me still wouldn't serve as proper proof of hacks, which is why I never brought it up. But in retrospect, I understand that it gets to a point where even if it's not completely definitive, people can't be blamed for thinking that it's more likely that I'm hacking than not.
Oh my god, another ad. That's crazy, bro. She just stages her shit. I mean, that does explain, I guess, the insane aim that on her sense should be impossible. Her sensitivity should be impossible. I guess if she slows it down, yeah. I don't know.
In my 2-year vanilla PvP montage, I used a custom mod to play in a lower tick rate, since at the time, Minecraft didn't have a command for it. This is actually the reason for how I came up with the idea for a mod to reduce input latency, since I had recognized how slow inputs are registered on low TPS. Within that mod, I used to create that montage. The idea was used to make my inputs register instantly instead of per tick, which made playing low TPS feel much more responsive. A lot of people have pointed out that the hotbar skips in that montage, and knowing what I do now, I'm quite sure that it's due to the fact that I was not only using the
Yeah, that was like a big one. She used hotbar skips, which is a hack. It looks in the clip as if she placed the glowstone and she didn't even move over to the anchor.
low TPS mod for most of it, but also the feature within that mod to make my inputs register instantly. Something I should be clear about though is that when defending myself regarding the hotbar allegations, previously I actually believed that it was a performance mod and not related to me playing in low TPS. I think that a lot of people will think that sounds stupid, so let me explain. I'm going to play a clip to show you what I mean.
But like, and I will say the anchor scripts in my video, I think there actually is a debunk for that, so I don't think it's even shared anymore.
From the clip you just heard, you can hear Reef1 admit that I might be debunking the hotbar skipping allegations. This is because it's actually true that hotbar skipping is not definitive proof of cheating. Brief1 and Dr. Donut originally believed that it was the result of hacks, and I believe that it was a result of a performance mod. But the truth is, neither of us were entirely right, and hotbar skips can occur on a completely vanilla client.
Okay, hotbar skips can occur on a
Although
completely
performance
vanilla
mods can
client.
increase the
That's
rate at which they happen.
how. Just how.
The reason why I'm bringing this up is just to reiterate that when I was defending myself on this topic,
Yo, this just feels so weird. Okay, I don't know.
my explanation was actually somewhat reasonable, and now we know it can happen on vanilla. It wasn't proof of hacking. The amount of times that it happened in my montage, though, left a valid reason to believe that it was hacks. And since people weren't aware of the fact that I was staging the montage in low TPS, I can't blame anyone for thinking so. Assuming that you're watching this video, Dr. Donut, I want to directly address you regarding this situation, as well as some of the
Wait,
other
hold up.
scenarios.
Hold up. You guys can't hear that. Why can't you guys hear that? It's weird. Wait, let me play it back.
Assuming that you're watching this video, Dr. Donut, I want to directly address you regarding this situation, as well as some of the other scenarios that have come up between us, so that I can communicate my thoughts a bit better. I'm going to play a few stream clips for context.
Now, everything that Marlowww did, like it was obviously the Marlowww persona was very nice to people and was very helpful, and she helped the community a lot actually. But was all of that because he wanted to help the community, or was it because he just wanted power? I don't know. I don't know if we're ever gonna know. But yeah, bro, I can't believe that all of it's true. It's just crazy. Like Marlowww definitely, or Danger Mario definitely had a goal to like get me out of the community. Like Danger Mario recommended me to stop streaming through Marlowww. Obviously, I'll just
Actually, I didn't know that Marlowww recommended Dr. Donut to stop streaming. That's crazy.
say Marlowww. Marlowww recommended me to stop streaming. Like Marlowww also intentionally had a goal to get It's Roll Me to quit PvP, and that's why he was gone for like over a year. Can you believe that? It's Roll Me is the greatest PvPer of all time, and Marlowww like convinced him to just quit or manipulated him into quitting, I guess, which is crazy. By the way, Default being blacklisted and restricted, that was also a part of Marlowww's plan. Default could have been the best Crystal PvPer, but he was banned from the community for over a year because Marlowww like was in charge of everything and just kicked him out.
I feel like when you view someone through a negative lens, it becomes very easy to come up with negative explanations for why certain things were said or done. But a lot of the things that you said here just weren't my intention at all. For example, when you mentioned that I advised you to stop streaming, this was in reference to your vanilla tier 2 attempts, because you've been trying for years to get tier 2, and I sincerely wanted you to achieve that goal, which is why I helped you and gave you advice a lot of the time. The reason why I recommended you not to stream your tier 2 test is because I believe a big part of streaming is entertaining your audience.
Entertaining your audience. Yeah, but did Marlowww just recommend you to... I don't believe that, honestly. Marlowww recommended Dr. Donut to stop streaming just for his PvP? I kind of doubt that, bro. I kind of doubt that. I'd have to see what Dr. Donut said, but that's just crazy, bro. This video is insane. I genuinely, I want to kind of skip, but I should kind of watch all of this, but I kind of want to skip to the, um, the PvP allegations, because all of this is, I mean, all of this is kind of useless. I don't know if I should skip it, guys, because honestly, I'd rather see just um, the PvP allegations. So I'm going to skip. Alright. Oh my god, ads again. But yeah, I want to see the PvP allegations because these are important. This is the whole thing. We don't know if this is Marlowww or not. I honestly don't care to know if he wanted Dr. Donut to get quit, which I doubt it, but that's 1 hour long. So I think, honestly, the PvP allegations to kind of know how she's gonna debunk
Before
that.
the MC tier split, Marlowww competed on what
What is this? I want the PvP stuff.
Moves from point A to point B, their position
Well, hold up. Why is she back to the AI voice? Huh?
doesn't instantly update for both players. Minecraft interpolates their movement across roughly 200 milliseconds, meaning that when a player has started moving, their opponent won't actually perceive it for around 200 milliseconds later. The same is true in reverse. When a player stops moving, their opponent won't perceive them actually stopping for around 200 milliseconds later. Many players are under the impression
So she's saying that the fact that she hit when not looking at them was a ping thing? A ping difference?
that ping is the underlying reason for why mechanics like comboing work, but positional interpolation is the true reason for why these things are possible, and ping only adds an additional layer of delay to the matter. To further demonstrate to you just how common these types of hits are, I'll put a montage consisting of various top players getting them on screen.
Yeah, we don't care about the montage. We care about Marlow. Okay, alright. I don't care, but that's weird. Alright, let's see.
Next, we have the Pig Ears Diamond Pot fight, where Marlowww not only cheats by using aim assist, but also trigger bot while eating. Okay, some could say she has high sense, but this is not high sense, because after every single hit, she flicks away for no reason, just to
Wait, I have actually a theory about why she flicks away. She made this vid called knockback displacement. It's like you flick and then hit and it like moves their knockback. That might have been why. I don't know.
flick back onto him. And no, she's not styling on him, because she lost this fight 30-12.
The first of the two claims being made here is actually valid. I appear to be attacking with my sword while eating at the same time, which isn't possible. This occurrence resulted from a confirmed bug in a popular mod I use which reduces the latency of consumable items in the Minecraft client. Here's what it looked like on my screen. Since on my screen I wasn't actually eating anything, I was able to move around freely. This is not the only occurrence of this happening. It's happened to both me and multiple other players on several occasions. Unfortunately, this is one of the downsides of how
A mod? Are we serious?
integral Minecraft mods are in the competitive community, since certain mods will inevitably produce behavior like this from time to time. Here's confirmation from the mod developer regarding this case. Moving on to the second claim, Critical asserts that I flick for no reason in order to attack pig ears, which he
Okay.
then
Alright, let's see if my prediction is true. What do you guys think, chat? Is it true or no? Alright.
says is proof that I'm using aim assist. This is completely untrue, as my flicks were in fact intentional. At the time, I had been
Oh my god, I was right. Oh my god, there's no way. Holy I was right. Oh my god.
experimenting with a technique that barely anyone knew about called knockback displacement.
I was
The famous
right.
Swipe, who I had taught this technique to prior to this fight, would later end up publicly commenting about its existence, but he would later end up deleting his comment due to harassment. A lot of people believe that this technique was made up specifically in order to cover for hacks, but I have plenty of messages that prove that this isn't the case. In fact, I was specifically going into this fight to experiment with the tactic in the first place, which is part of why I ended up losing so badly. Something that people might not realize is that this specific moment was actually what started all of the controversy that I'm currently in today. The irony of it being due to superior game knowledge paints a pretty clear picture as to how these situations historically go. In 2020 and 2021, I was suspected of hacking due to the discovery of how you could place blocks much faster by setting the action to a keyboard key, which today is a widely known strategy called keyboard place. In 2022, I was suspected once again due to having a proprietary technique that assisted in shield disabling. This technique was taught to me by the high tier 1 player Vivikai and is now a widely known strategy called attribute swapping. In 2023, I was suspected for a third time for having the proprietary knowledge of how to place blocks midair. This technique was taught to me by my
Airplace? No, that is a hack. What?
friend Baby Brownie, and is now a widely known strategy called air placing. In 2024, I was suspected once again after unretiring at high tier 1 in SMP with perfect scores. At the time, people had believed that I was using hacks to take away my shield delay, but as it turns out, this wasn't even possible to do in the game through hacking. In 2025, I was suspected of using hacks for stun smashing due to my discovery of tick lockouts, which was assisted by understanding hotbar priority. This would later become widespread knowledge after I made a video on it. And now, in 2026, I'm suspected of using aim assist due to having the uncommon knowledge of knockback displacement. I had actually planned on making a video on the technique long before I had gotten in any controversy for it, and it's almost certain that I wouldn't be cancelled right now if I did. Given the pattern I just showed you, people clearly have an unhealthy tendency to label anything that they don't understand as cheating. What this means is that instead of being met with positive reception,
Alright, bro. Okay, bro. Okay, I guess she did reply to those accusations. That makes sense.
attempting to advance the game's meta, it can often instead be reputationally devastating depending on the circumstances, which is obviously completely backwards to how it should be.
Finally, we have the clip from this fight with Marlowww against Swipe, where Marlowww clearly spazzes out because she's trying to pot, but her aim assist is trying to hit Swipe, causing her to throw her pots around. And I was actually able to recreate this when I fought a hacker on MCPVP, and they do the exact same thing, trying to hit me while they are potting.
The next claim that Critical makes is that I was attempting to use health potions, but that I couldn't because doing so conflicted with aim related hacks that I allegedly use. I happen to know exactly what happened here, but unfortunately it's the type of explanation that isn't backed by any hard evidence. This clip is taken from a fight I had with Swipe for a YouTube video rather than a competitive match. Within this fight, Swipe had a substantial lead on me and was obviously going to win, so I thought that it would be funny for the video to spaz out at the end of the match. At the time, I didn't even consider the possibility that people would interpret this as hacking, and Swipe seemed to also know that it was for entertainment.
She okay, that is such a bad explanation. Terrible explanation. She spazzed out. She just did that on purpose. S- uh,
While I do agree that the clip looks bizarre, Critical's claim also doesn't make sense in a number of ways. For instance, if I was actually using this form of hack, why would this conflict only occur in this specific moment out of all of the other times that I had turned around to pot? Furthermore, most aim-related hacks have specific settings that only function while holding a weapon, which is something that would practically have to be enabled to perform at my level in this mode. While I'm sorry that I don't have definitive proof to back up my explanation here, I hope people can also understand that this type of circumstance is largely caused by the fact that players spend hours analyzing and scrutinizing my gameplay, whereas other players who exhibit the same behavior simply don't get observed for it, which is why it always ends up looking like I'm the only one at fault.
Speaking of authority, why is the ref playing the game?
Imaginez pouvoir créer n'importe
oh
quoi.
my god, another ad, bro. They're French too. Alright.
It's simple. The tier list owners should not be competing in the game at such a high level. This easily leads to corruption, favoritism, and cheating. Being a tier list owner allows you to place final verdict on kit changes, force people to play on a server you have ownership to, and decide not to get SS'd because who's gonna stop you? You own the tier list. By the way, she got exposed for hacking in 2021, and anyone who asks her to screen share now just gets blacklisted.
Before I address the later allegations, let's start with the statement about the referee playing the game. I understand that people will have varying opinions on this topic, but regardless, I'm going to give my thoughts on the matter, and I'm sorry if some people find it unsatisfactory. The first thing that I want to clarify is that I've been a top player for many years now, even before I was ever an owner. Since the Minecraft community doesn't have its own official competitive scene, it instead had to be created voluntarily. I personally can't see myself ever having created MC Tiers if I wasn't even able to be a part of it, and I find it frustrating that so many people attempt to take the moral high ground on this issue. The truth is, very few people would decide on a whim to dedicate multiple years of their life to building up a grassroots community that they can't participate in, and I wish more people could understand that. That being said, though, comparing my situation to a referee participating in a sports game is inaccurate. MC Tiers has guardrails when it comes to staff managing their own competitive matches. Whenever I open a Discord ticket requesting a tier test, my ticket and assigned opponents are handled by the same staff team that handles everyone else's tests. That being said, though, I do find it unfair that it seems like I'm the only one who ever catches flack for this type of thing. Multiple top competitors have been in full game mode management positions while competing, and people like It's Real Me, Ins, and Learn have been in full network management positions while also competing. For some reason, out of all of these people, it seems like I'm the only one who ever gets called out. Many people say that it's because of the fact that I'm now ranked as the best in the world, but back when its real me was ranked number one, I never saw anyone criticize him in the same way. From my perspective, this is a blatant double standard. It seems like people are selectively okay with people being in a management position while competing, and that whether or not it's acceptable is entirely dependent on whether or not they like the person doing so. Moving on, however, let's revisit the last two statements the critical made at the end of this claim.
By the way, she got exposed for hacking in 2021, and anyone who asks her to screen share now just gets blacklisted.
Everything Critical says here can be summed up as a blatant lie. As we've already gone over, I've probably been the most investigated.
How do we know this is a blatant lie? How do we know that what Critical said isn't true? I I can't just believe that Marlo's not or Danger Mario. I don't know if it's Marlo. I don't know if it's Danger Mario. I just don't. The PvP community is kind of cooked. I want to get tier tested, but it's cooked. So I don't know.
Player in tier list history, and 2021 was no exception. In fact, this was the year in which I probably had the most notable skill gap over anyone else in vanilla PvP. Yet, after multiple investigations, I was always proven to be legit. Critical's second claim that anyone in the present day who asks me to screen share gets blacklisted is also a complete lie. The blacklist is particularly reserved for people who commit extremely harmful offenses along the lines of doxing, swatting, and sexual misconduct. There is zero record of anyone ever being blacklisted merely for asking someone to screen share. Critical's decision to lie about both of these things should serve as further evidence of his character. I'll now be moving on to the next claim.
But let's go back to the huge mace changes, which changed the Elytra durability from its normal durability to 100 durability, then to 150. Sure, let's take Marlowe's side and say it wasn't because of Alien Overdose. From the community's perspective, it looks like you changed the kit just so you can get your high tier 1 back.
The statement that Critical makes here is regarding changes that were made to the mace kit in order to decrease match duration. These claims were actually 100% debunked before the changes were even made. I'll explain. On March 27th of last year, a player known by the name of Alien Overdose opened up a testing ticket for Tier 1. It wasn't until around 3 months later, on June 21st, the alien would finally complete his test and contest me for the high Tier 1 rank, which at the time was held by me. I tried to schedule with Alien for around 3 months, in which the match was delayed substantially. Although Alien claimed that this extreme delay was allegedly due to personal reasons, it's confirmed that Alien was participating in other competitive fights during this time frame. Regardless of whether or not this delay had valid reasoning behind it or not, it is vital to the context of this situation.
Three
During this
months
time
delay?
frame, the
Oh my
Mace
gosh.
community had a very split conflict on whether or not the game mode should update to include changes that Minecraft had made relating to ender pearls. In case you're wondering what was changed, it was that previously when you were teleported to an ender pearl, it would stop your momentum entirely, whereas after the update you would maintain your momentum instead. Alien Overdose was strongly against this update being implemented, stating that it would entirely kill the ability to fight people midair. This claim was completely inaccurate, and in the present day, the change has actually been shown to benefit aerial gameplay rather than detract from it, which was something that I had been saying was true all along. Unfortunately, Alien's false rhetoric would spread to other community members, and he would accuse me of proposing the changes specifically to nerf his skill level. This was particularly egregious because at the time I had hardly even played using the updated Pearl mechanics, and my high tier 1 rank was earned without them. When someone has a tier test open for 7 months, things are bound to change, and it's illogical to assume that every single change in this time frame is founded from malicious intent. As time passed, the update became accepted by the community, but there was a new problem that had come up. Fights were taking a long time, and when I say a long time, I mean hours. This is
Hours.
clearly not something that was sustainable
Fights
when you
take
look at it from a
hours.
perspective of concern for the health and future of the game mode, so something had to change. What you need to know is that Minecraft has an exploit where you can avoid losing elytra durability as long as you alternate between equipping it and unequipping it in under a second, which is quite easy to do. When you pair this with the fact that the elytra by default has 432 durability, matches end up being extremely long contests of who can evade the opponent while exploiting the elytra durability bug most effectively. When I say this, I don't mean it as an exaggeration. Quite
Bro,
literally, the
they're
meta in this
just running
scenario is
away.
to almost fully avoid fighting until you've completely exhausted the opponent's elytra durability, which is why these fights were going on for hours. On August 3rd, I would make an
Oh my god.
announcement regarding the fact that we would be trialing changes that lowered the elytra's durability in an effort to reduce match time. At this point, you might be thinking that surely by now, Alien Overdose would have fought me for his High Tier 1 test, but unfortunately, this wasn't the case. During the multiple months that I had been waiting for him, he had actually secretly been practicing this exact meta on an alt account. This is why, after I ended up making this announcement, Alien began to strongly object to it, and once again insisted that this change was proposed purely with the intention of nerfing its skill level. Obviously, this assertion was ludicrous given the scale of how bad the gameplay issue was, but in this specific scenario, I decided that these changes wouldn't be added until after Alien's High Tier 1 test, which he was informed of.
Oh my god. Ad again. Great, bro. Why do I have so many ads? Holy. I just want to watch Marlowww, bro. Genuinely. Alright, let's skip this.
After having waited a whole 3 months, Alien and I would finally fight and he would end up achieving High Tier 1. Shortly after, the kit changes that had been planned previously were put in place, and the Elytra durability bug was patched in competitive play. The backlash from implementing these changes was so severe that the community began to riot and spread lies about me. It became a widespread rumor that the kit changes had only been put in place because I had lost the Alien Overdose, and that the intention behind them was purely to aid me in the process of getting High Tier 1 back. What you can see from all of this, though, is that this rumor is not only untrue, but 100% provably untrue since there were in fact numerous discussions on the matter long before the match had even happened. In my opinion, this rumor was fully started as an attempt to put pressure on me by targeting my reputation so that I might cave in and end up reverting the changes. Unfortunately, a lot of people actually fell for this, and since then I've had a poor reputation in the Mace community because of it. Let's move on to the next claim.
Then, they changed the durability to 150 to make it look like they were taking the side of the community, when in fact, this was the poll that was run, and 150 was tied with 350, 400, and 432 Dura. But wait, let's remember who the Mace changes helped with the most. Rapture, the #1 Mace player currently.
Critical presents this poll regarding the kit changes
How did
as
the
if
kit
it were some
changes
kind of
help
official
Rapture?
vote.
I don't know.
The reality is, this was an unofficial Discord poll created by a regulator who would then end up spreading it later on. The regulator I'm referring to ended up later being punished and demoted for other offenses, but the poll itself didn't even contain votes from every staff member. For instance, I was in favor of 150 durability but never even participated in this unofficial poll. Regarding the topic of Rapture, I'm going to be covering this allegation a bit later, so I'll be skipping it for now.
And the funny thing is, Marlowww even tried to buy MCSR, which is Minecraft speedrunning, but they denied luckily.
At the end of the video, Critical claims that I attempted to purchase the popular mod known as Minecraft Speedrunning Ranked, but then was denied from doing so by the owners. Out of all of the claims being made in this video, this one is by far the most bizarre out of all of them. The fact that hardly anyone picked up on how blatantly Critical lies here goes to show you just how effective it can
Okay,
be in this
honestly, I don't
community to
think
make up
Marlowww would
statements
have
like
wanted to
these
buy
without showing any proof.
MCSR.
I'm
That's
not sure what else to
speedrunning.
say here other than the fact that this interaction never happened. I never tried to purchase MCSR Ranked. With that being said, we've now gone through the video and addressed most of the points being made. There's one last point, however, that I wanted to say for the end, since it requires you to have all of the context that we covered previously.
Everyone's brainwashed by Marlowww, and if you speak against her, something happens. After watching the fight with Cray vs Marlowww, I said in the vanilla tier list general that Marlowww cheats, and I got perm banned for destructive behavior. Like we aren't catching people who cheat or ult, but I'm permanently banned from all the discords and MC tiers for saying someone cheats. That's just a crazy power trip. It's like going to high surveillance prison with hardened criminals for taking Sprite instead of water. I didn't originally plan on posting this on my main channel, but my MC Tears ban said otherwise.
Everything you just heard is completely untrue. Critical claims that he was banned for sending a video of my flick hits from the pig ears fight over Discord. What makes this easily debunkable is that I had actually been sharing the same video around to troll people because at the time people weren't aware that this clip was actually the result of knockback displacement. Why would Critical be banned for sending something that I had previously already sent long before he did? Furthermore, if you look in the Discord servers, you can see that there are many people who have accused me, yet they aren't banned for doing so. This is because it's not against the rules just to accuse someone. The real reason that Critical was banned is because he was repeatedly spreading lies in order to convince people that what he was saying was true, which is obviously destructive. As you could probably tell though, this video followed the exact same pattern. Earlier I brought up the fact that the main viral videos on this topic just so happen to be published by players who are currently banned. By the end of the next video I cover, you'll see precisely why that matters so much. For now, what you need to know is that the next video I'm covering is not made by someone who is disbanded, but rather someone who is blacklisted. While you'll be getting the specifics of this case in a moment,
Blacklisted
I'll
is
start by
crazy. Blacklisted is really bad. Damn, bro. Getting blacklisted is just crazy. Oh my gosh, bro, this is such a long video. Should I watch all of this, or should I just end stream? Nah, I don't know. Yeah, bro, this is crazy. Genuinely crazy. Alright, let's keep watching.
showing the video on screen. This video, titled Competitive Minecraft is a Joke, was posted by Aximity on January 29th. I happened to see this video shortly after it was uploaded, and upon doing so, I immediately knew that it would blow up because of how deceptive it was. Knowing this, I wrote a comment so that I could inform people who might come across the video that Aximity was acting maliciously, but unfortunately my comment would end up receiving so many dislikes that YouTube made it practically impossible to come across for the average viewer. I actually went on another device to try and find my own comment and realized that it had sunk so far down the YouTube algorithm that it took multiple minutes of scrolling for me to even locate it. Unfortunately, my comment being so hard to find,
Bro, no one likes your comment. Yo, Jedi, we're reacting to the Marlowww vid.
Simply isn't true. There's something that I want to show you about this comment though. After I posted it, Aximity issued a response to it which he would end up editing several times. Within this response, Aximity lies by baselessly claiming that I'm silencing top players. He then gets personal and tells me that as a former friend of his that I should just quit, and that it was genuinely over for me. While to many people this line might have seemed like it was written out of concern,
Whoa. What? He told her just quit? That's crazy. I already watched this. I know, but like, I wanted to react to it. Oh my, I haven't watched this, so this crazy, bro. Genuinely insane. I don't know if I think that Marlow is Danger Mario or that Marlow is just a normal person. Again, I don't think the person we saw in the beginning was Marlow. That really did not look like Marlow. It might have been, but again, how do we have any proof that is? I don't know. What do you guys think? Because for me, that doesn't look like Marlow. It just doesn't, you know? It just genuinely doesn't. I don't know. Also, yo, Jedi, please don't ask again. We're gonna talk about it with Alpha, and I'll DM you, or I'll tell you if you're accepted. Alright, let's keep watching.
I knew that the real reason that Aximity was trying to convince me to quit was because he knew that if I told people the truth that his video would be torn to shreds by it. Aximity's video is currently one of the most viewed videos on this topic, so it's necessary that I go through it and debunk the dishonest claims being made in it.
Let me set the record straight. The competitive Minecraft scene that's had the entire community in a chokehold over the past few years is a straight-up joke, filled with cheaters, staff abusing their powers, mass manipulation, and in some cases, straight-up illegal activity among some of the top players and influencers within the community.
Within the introduction, Aximity references how top players and influencers are engaging.
Hold up. Aximity saying that there's illegal stuff. Aximity was saying some really bad stuff, and he doxed some people. That's illegal. I don't even know, bro. That's illegal.
An illegal activity within the community. This is the perfect segue for you to know exactly why Aximity is currently blacklisted, as it happens to be specifically for illegal activity.
Yeah,
in order to give you the best understanding, I'm
activity.
going to have the person who handled his blacklist case explain.
Oh my. We did us. There's an ad. Wow. Perfect time. What is this ad, bro? A dog and dog shampoo. Okay. Oh, wait, I actually did already watch that. That's crazy. Alright, let's skip.
What all of this tells you is that Aximity's current blacklist is quite severe, and therefore any appeals for it need to be treated seriously. Aximity's primary defense here is that he was making these statements in order to pander to the good side of the person he was talking to, Resol, who happens to be blacklisted and generally considered a harmful member of the community. He claims that by doing this that he was able to protect countless members of the community from being harmed. The problem with this statement is that there is no certainty as to whether or not it's true, and it feels unlikely that it would be true considering how unnecessary some of his remarks were. Furthermore, if Aximity was in fact behaving this way in order to protect people, why would he cause more harm during the process by requesting to have illicit photos of minors exposed? The statement in this
Okay, we're gonna
up with
skip
her in
over
real
the
life.
whole Aximity thing, because he's saying really bad stuff. Really, really bad stuff he's saying.
At this portion of the video, Aximity presents a montage of what are implied to be clips of me hacking. We've already debunked the behavior that causes most of these clips, but there's two more that came up that I'd like to go over. These clips showcase me equipping two pieces of armor at what appears to be the same time. It seems like Aximity is under the impression that this shouldn't be possible, but it's actually quite simple. The crouching you see here is because I was holding shift before toggling my inventory, and I remained crouched due to desynchronization. Holding shift in this scenario is normal because I need to avoid dragging items in my inventory. The main thing here, though, is that while Minecraft handles most of its inputs at a rate of 20 ticks per second, the mouse has an exception to that rule. This is partially because if mouse movements only updated to
Didn't know
20
that.
ticks per
Didn't know
second,
that.
looking around would feel quite choppy. What this means, though, is that you can also click the mouse multiple times during a single tick, and on the next tick it will perform all of the actions in game. The way I quickly remove and equip my armor is by spamming both left and right click simultaneously, which allows you to very efficiently manage your inventory. I encourage people to give this strategy a try, as knowing how to do it can be quite helpful.
There were a lot of clips circling around consisting of Marloww's crystalling being faster than anyone else believed even possible.
What is that fast crystalling?
This
What the
led a
hell?
lot of crystal PvPers to believe Marlowww was cheating to unfairly crystal as fast as she could. This made her later come to release the Crystal Optimizer in 2023. The Crystal Optimizer is a mod that makes placing and hitting crystals client-sided so that you can effectively crystal a lot faster. She branded this as a mod to give higher ping players less of a disadvantage in crystal PvP. But without a doubt, this is the mod that she was using as a cheat for so many months before she even released it in order to crystal abnormally fast and beat every player with ease.
If it's a mod, then it's not a cheat.
Before Marlowww released this and branded it the way she did, this would have been straight up considered a cheat if she was caught with this. But as a leader in the community, she was able to get away with this. With this in mind, this already sets a precedent that Marlowww is very likely to be a cheater, and nothing is stopping her from doing the same thing today.
The problem with the statements that you just heard is that they were presented with so much confidence that most people wouldn't even question it for a split second. But the reality is that none of what Aximity says here is true. I also know that he himself knows that it's not true and is deliberately choosing to misrepresent it. The reason I know this is because there's an extremely detailed portion of my video from 2024 where I cover the difficulties I had throughout the process of getting the Crystal Optimizer legalized, and Aximity and I had discussed it on multiple occasions. Something I should note is that the allegation Aximity is making here appears to be out of nowhere, as this wasn't an issue that staff members even raised during my attempts to get the mod legalized. What you're seeing on screen is a portion of Aximity's video here where he asserts that he was involved with my video during the process of making it. While Aximity wasn't involved with the making of the video itself, he was very well aware of its contents. This is because Aximity was also planning to release a video around the same time, and his video would cover some of what was in mine. Aximity's decision to assert his involvement with my video here appears to be with the intention of boosting his credibility, but when you see how he misrepresents all of this, it actually detracts from it. The reason for my crystal speed has nothing to do with the Crystal Optimizer, and what people need to know is that if I had actually been using it competitively before it was legalized, I would have likely been banned. If you're interested in more information as to why that is, I highly advise watching my old video which covers it all. What all of this tells you is that Aximity completely made up all of this, yet hardly anyone watching would notice that.
Okay, she says this, but how does she crystal so fast then? She didn't say it. How does she crystal so fast?
Fortunately, what you're going to be seeing throughout the rest of this video are many more dishonest statements like these.
When I started to become active again, a friend of mine, who is a very close friend of someone who is notorious for being a very skilled coder and has made multiple top tier PvP hack clients, who is completely blacklisted from MC tiers for a plethora of reasons, one of which being literally threatening Marloww's family in 2023, is actually friends with Marlowww, secretly, today. Marlowww herself even confirmed it to me directly. Very Violent made it very clear that the person they told this to, they wanted this to be kept secret. And they confirmed, in the process, that Marlowww does quite a bit of things that people don't know about in order to get an advantage in PvP. This personally has me dead convinced that Marlowww is doing something, even today. Thanks to the monopoly Marlowww has on the community, she can keep denying and just straight up ignoring these accusations of her cheating. And there will never ever be any hard proof to come out that she cheats. As a matter of fact, back in 2023, if you were even
No, this is crazy, bro. I just don't even know what to say about this, bro. Holy. Is Marlowww cheating or not? I don't know. I want to skip a bit because I should say this. Yeah. Because I don't know. Oh, fucking god. This is such a complicated situation. Honestly, I hope Marlowww is genuinely the person we saw, but I don't know.
The final one of these clips that we'll be going over is Legendary's High Tier 1 fight versus Marlowww. By the way, there's a lot more of these new clips.
This point now.
And based on that, if you still think she's legit, I'm going to show you guys the new evidence that nobody has talked about so far. Alright, so it all started in around May of 2025. Vexay, the previous High Tier 1 sword player, had challenged Marlowww to a first to 20, and if Marlowww was able to beat him, she would get $350.
Marlowww
She
equals
agreed.
Danger Mario? I don't know. Did you watch this new vid? Because Marlowww face revealed in the beginning. Again, this could be an actor, but everything she said does make sense. And in the video, it says that Ximity was probably working with Danger Mario. So it might not be. You need to watch it if you haven't already, or go back in the stream, because it's crazy.
And they were both ready to fight. The only problem was it had to be on Mineman Club. Marlowww obviously knew how good the anti-cheat was, and if she were cheating, she would almost certainly get banned. But as a low tier 1 player who had already beaten him before, if she performed badly, it would look equally as bad for her. So in this situation, what could Marlowww do? I'm gonna give you guys 3 options, and I want you guys to pick what you think Marlowww did. A. She leaves and says she has to go. B. She plays the fight legit. C. She plays the fight while cheating and subsequently gets banned. Or D. She fakes T-Bot for 30 minutes, stalls for 6 hours, forces Vexay to leave because he has to catch a flight, and pretend like everything's normal. Yeah, the answer was D. If you're wondering what I mean by this, Marlowww accepted the duel around 11 PM for Vexay. However, even though she said she was available to fight right now, she said she had to change her mod pack, and it took her 3 hours just to do that. And taking 3 hours just to change her mods is absolutely insane. However, eventually...
It's fake, he staged it, you think? You think? I don't know, bro. I don't know. I'm not 100% sure. I'm not 100% sure. All we know is that these cheating accusations definitely got answered to. I don't think that they're cheating. But if Marlowww, I hope Marlowww's not Danger Mario, because Marlowww seems like a nice person. I don't know.
She got on Mineman. After getting on, it took her around an hour to accept the duel, and after she was in the duel, she obviously knew Vexay thought she was cheating, so she decided to fake T-Ball for 30 minutes and failed to do it. I don't know why she would ever do this, but whatever. I have a clip on screen of her doing this, and it's absolutely hilarious. Like, what is she even doing? And then I have another clip on screen that I'm gonna play, but Vex just goes AFK for a second, and Marlowww starts critting him out of nowhere.
This portion of the video is presented in a very one-sided manner, which is unfortunate since I'm inclined to believe that it's reasonable behavioral evidence. What you need to know is that Vexay and I don't have a good relationship. My first ever interaction with him was in 2021 back when I was 17. In this interaction, he randomly added me and started asking me questions regarding a rumor that I had shared inappropriate photos of myself. This being my first ever interaction with him already gave me the impression that he was weird.
Whoa. This is weird.
But
okay.
years later, he would go on to circulate false rumors.
Yeah, because if he face reveal only once doesn't mean anything. It could be friend, sister, who knows? Yeah, I guess. I don't know. Well, I mean, I think it's Marlon. I'm not sure.
Rumors about me. Eventually, when I became Tier 2 in Sword, Vexay repeatedly mocked me over the course of a year, insisting that I didn't deserve it. Unfortunately for him, I ended up disproving that when I would go on to earn Tier 1 in August of 2024. Despite this, Vexay never stopped being toxic towards me. In fact, instead of acknowledging that he was clearly wrong about me, he would instead just go on to insult anyone that lost to me. One day in May, I would randomly receive a duel request from Vexay while I was on PvP Club. I went on to accept it with the sole motivation of destroying him, which I did. I ended up winning 20 to 13. At this point, Vexay had to forfeit the argument that I was bad at the game, since if he didn't, then it would only mean that he must be even worse. This would result in him pinging me
Listening to vid, no. Looking at combos, yes.
in the Tier 2 plus Sword Discord telling me good games and that I actually do deserve Tier 1. You're probably wondering how this situation would somehow turn into what would end up happening later, and the explanation is pretty funny. Just like how Vexay had insulted numerous people whenever they lost to me, people went on to insult him just as he had done to them previously. This would cause his ego to go out of control and he would end up suddenly switching to accusing me of hacking, which is ironic since before I had beaten him, he considered me to be absolutely terrible. Something you'll notice about one of these messages is that he says that it doesn't feel like I hack, but that I probably do because I only play on a couple of servers. This message, alongside the message congratulating me after I beat him, can be used to disprove a recent narrative that he's been spreading in order to make me look more guilty. If you look at this comment he recently posted, he states that it only took him one match to determine that I'm a blatant hacker. This is obviously in direct contradiction to how things went down. What's interesting is that his message congratulating me after I beat him is now deleted, which I see no other reason for doing with such delay aside from distorting the truth. Following Vexay's quick switch up from me being terrible to me
So
being
she's
good to
saying
me being a
Vexay is
hacker,
doing
he
something
would
bad?
then go on to challenge me to fight him
I
on
don't know.
Mindman Club for $350. I would end up accepting, so we scheduled a fight on another day. When the day came, I was told that I needed to play the match on specifically 1.21.2 or higher. This meant that in order to play, I was going to have to update my version and all the mods I typically used.
Oh my god. Add again. Okay, so I'm assuming the people that made the vids against Marlowww didn't say everything. When Marlowww was crystalling, the placement in inventory matches Danger Mario's placement. I did see that. But again, does that mean she's Danger Mario? Not necessarily. You can't just base everything off of that.
In the process of this, I ran into a few issues, which I would end up asking for help on. Unfortunately, my questions were met with toxicity and condescending behavior from Vexay. In front of everyone, he singled me out and made me appear as if I was stupid. Up until this point, I had been considering whether or not it was actually worth it for me to fight him to earn the money. The reason that I say this is because I have a general paranoia surrounding joining other servers, since in the past, people have attempted to fake anti-cheat logs on me in order to ruin my reputation and end my career. While I don't think that this was going to happen, from my perspective, it wasn't unreasonable to consider the possibility. This is because throughout the process of getting ready for the fight, I noticed that Vexay was a part of the Mindman Club staff team. Since he had already started being toxic towards me again, I decided that I wasn't going to give him what he wanted. In retrospect, what I should have done here was completely stop engaging with him at all, since obviously it was going to lead to harassment whether I won or lost. Instead, what I did here was decide to disengage with it on my end while sporadically trolling him by appearing as if I was still incapable of setting up my game. Essentially, I would go on to do other things on my PC while leading him on, and then every now and then send troll screenshots of error messages as if I was completely incompetent. This would go on for hours, and then when he eventually realized that I was just absently baiting him the whole time, I decided to actually log on in order to get his hopes
That's
up.
funny, bro.
When I logged on this time, I set my attack keybind to a keyboard key, then proceeded to act as if I was AFK. Whenever a player would walk in front of me, I would press the key to attack them so that I didn't risk moving my mouse any.
Bro.
I did this in order to pretend that I had accidentally left on a popular hack client module called TriggerBot. People didn't notice this at first, However, an admin eventually put me into a duel with Vexay, and that's where things really amped up. After trolling Vexay for a while in this duel, I started wailing on him, so the admin healed him. In
The
the
admin
following
healed him.
rounds, I ended up getting
Are you
teleported into the
serious?
air some, then killed repeatedly by Vexay to the point where the score becomes 0 to 20 in his favor. Vexay would end up screenshotting this and sharing it around as if he had destroyed me, which is something he continues to parade to this day. Now, with that all being said, as you can see, I did record all of this, so you can clearly tell that I wasn't actually trigger botting in this scenario. Despite this, I acknowledge the fact that regardless of my poor relationship with Vexay, it wasn't very smart of me to troll him in this manner, and it was a complete waste of time for anyone else that was involved. This is a scenario where I can't blame people who might be inclined to think that I'm hacking, since my
Rage Bay
behavior
is so
throughout the
funny.
process was obviously really
Rage Bay is
immature.
so funny.
One assumption that people have made out of this scenario, though, is that I completely avoid playing servers other than PvP Club, which isn't the case at all. In fact, a significant portion of my tier tests have taken place across different servers, including ones I had no staff role on. Despite this, though, there's a pretty unfair double standard that's being applied to me. When I tested for Tier 1 in Sword, Vexay was assigned to me, and the staff team asked us to decide on a server to play. I suggested multiple different options, but Vexay completely insisted on doing his own server. It's worth mentioning that I didn't even own any of the servers that I was suggesting to him, yet Vexay refused to fight me on any of them despite them being the most popular servers to play on at the time. Furthermore, Vexay uploaded a video proving his legitimacy by booting his computer in-game while recording his monitor. Somehow his video has been met with extremely positive reception, whereas my video that provided more than his has been met with massive amounts of hate. What all of this shows you is that the community has virtually no regard for fairly judging evidence standards, and will only form their opinions based on preference of the person. I've had tons of people sending me hate for the camera angle in my video.
Hold up. Does that hand cam, this hand cam, look like the person we see in the beginning? It could be.
Video, but it's actually the best possible angle that could be done without adding in additional cameras, since it somewhat displays both my monitor and my other hand on the keyboard, which wouldn't be possible from a bird's eye view. I find it ludicrous that people are giving me hate for this while
Bro, hold
Vexay
on,
is
wait.
able to provide much less and receive tons of public praise for it. It's all incredibly
I don't
backwards,
know.
and unfortunately
Yeah,
it's not
it
the
does
only
look like the same
scenario
person.
in which double
Again,
standards are being
the
applied.
person in the beginning
I'll
could
now
be an
be moving
actor.
on from this
It's
point.
not a wig. Wigs are more
Another
obvious.
thing that I'd like to talk about is how Floativs was literally there and watched this happen, and somehow in his new video he concluded that Marlowww wasn't cheating. I don't know how you can go from thinking Marlowww blatantly cheats to just suddenly thinking she's legit. Additionally, this also happened for Swipe. We can see in an unlisted livestream of his, he's constantly accusating Marlowww.
I can't lie, bro. Like, nah, that's just fucked. That is just fucked, bro. Literally, out of nowhere, her hit started doing like double damage, bro. What was that?
Bro, dude, Jumbo Seed SS, bro.
Dude, she swear to God, bro. She like, what the fuck was that? Did you see how many times?
No, oh my god, bro, oh my god.
Dude, she fucking did a 3-heart axe crit. That's not possible. We're really gonna talk about how like she was down 20 rounds and all of a sudden her hits started doing more damage, bro?
And
like,
he even complains to I'm Reds, another Hydra 1 Axe player, in his DMs. However, suddenly he starts commenting and defending Marlowww. This makes absolutely no sense.
In this portion of the video, Kuma brings up the fact that Swite has previously accused me of cheating in an Axe PvP test. This refers to a livestream where I ended up making a significant comeback against Swite, and during the process he accused me of using strength and resistance potion effects. Swite has already retracted these claims, stating that he only made them out of frustration, but for some reason people are under the impression that I've somehow blackmailed him into doing so, so I'll be taking the time to address the proof today.
I don't know.
Here's a few clips for context.
Oh my gosh. An ad again, bro. Ah, these Marlowww files are just crazy. Absolutely crazy.
what? Wait, how did that do so much damage?
There's no world where that should have killed me. What? Wait, what the fuck was that? That's just absurd. What was that damage?
Marlow's still banned on tier list? Yeah.
No, that was not
I don't know if she'll get
possible at
unbanned or
all.
no.
Like, what?
Depends what the community thinks about this.
What is happening? No, like, I'm just shocked.
Dr. Donut said he wanted to meet up with
She has
Marloww
resistance.
and
She just has
PvP her.
resistance. I don't know.
I think if they actually do that, that'll
What is
change
that
a lot
damage?
of stuff.
No, I'm clipping that. Yo, that is not fucking possible. Hello? Motherfucker just did a super crit. She has fucking strength. Dude, she fucking did a 3-heart axe crit. That's not possible.
No, it was 2.5. It was 2.5.
2.5, bro, but I can count.
Bro
Like,
needs
I
YouTube
know,
Premium. I
like,
know, bro.
how
I'm
you just
broke.
know from experience if you're gonna
I'm
die or
broke.
not?
Before I proceed, I'd
Y'all
like to
can't even donate
reiterate
money.
that I
Like,
prefer
I
if
don't have
people didn't vilify
monetizations
Swipe
yet.
for the manner in which he behaved
But yeah,
here.
I'm broke.
It's in the past, and he's transparent about the fact that he said it out of frustration. As for the actual damage values, if you go through the video, you can clearly see that it lines up. For instance, in the round where Swite accuses me of using resistance, you can see that he dealt damage proportionate to me having roughly 2 hearts at the end of the round, which is correctly displayed in chat. As for the 2 main instances where Swite calls me out for using strength, we can see if the damage is indeed possible based on the amount of health he has. Kuma's video phrases this situation as if it's bizarre that Swite would go back on his claims, but considering the claims are so easily debunked, with even his friends in the call telling him so, it's much more reasonable to assume that he genuinely retracted his opinion here rather than somehow being blackmailed into doing so. It doesn't seem like the community thinks this way though, since it's become an extremely widespread narrative that I'm apparently blackmailing people into silence. This leads me to an important point that I've been waiting up until now to bring up. I'm going to play a clip to demonstrate.
And while I could say a lot more, just like Dr. Donut here, I'm sort of forced to be silent. So that wraps up the video.
What you just saw reveals how this situation is able to be twisted in a manner that allows
I'm sort of
virtually no
forced to
room
be
for anyone to
silent.
defend me.
Wow.
When malicious actors pretend that they have stuff to say but that they're being silenced from doing so, it causes people to become hyper-conspiratorial to the point where anyone who defends me is automatically written off as someone who is blackmailed by me. This method is proven to be extremely effective for isolating me, since any would-be supporters can automatically assume that they're just going to be labeled as someone who is either blackmailed or paid off, neither of which are good for their reputation. Since the direct effect of this causes the claims to go uncontested, it fosters an environment of mass conformity to the narrative that I'm somehow a blackmailer. This is obviously an extremely immoral strategy for people to try to use on me, but that's completely
That's crazy. Oh my god. Alright, the video's almost on though. 8 minutes left. It's crazy, bro. Genuinely.
irrelevant to those who want me gone. I know that this strategy has been actively diminishing my support circle because I've seen several people delete their comments due to the hate received from it. Most people don't know this, but it's also the actual reason for why Swite initially deleted his comment that was defensive of me. The reason people didn't realize this was because Swite would eventually later end up leaving a comment that was critical of me, but that doesn't retrospectively invalidate the fact that he was targeted with lies to the point where he felt pressured into deleting the first one. While we're on the topic of his more recent comment, though, I'd like to take a moment to respond to it. What you have to understand about when I was making my handcam video is that the most widespread allegations I was receiving were different from what they are today. I made my video in a manner that actually reasonably addressed those claims. However, my video is now being judged based on an entirely separate allegation that I used stun hacks, which only became popular after the video was posted. This method of judgment is unfair. To put it into a better perspective, though, imagine a police officer suspects someone of driving under the influence, so they give them a breathalyzer test. After the suspect passes the test, they decide to arrest them anyways because their parking was weird. It's not like I was ever given any set of instructions or parameters on what I was supposed to do aside from debunking the current allegations. For those of you wondering what a stun is, though, it's the hit after you perform a shield disable. Within my handcam video, I only miss one shield disable, but I rarely go for double click stuns, which is what Swite's comment is referencing. This ultimately comes down to the fact that my setup had to be different when recording the handcam video, since if I used keyboard place like usual, then it would elevate my middle finger to where you could no longer properly see my pointer finger clicking attack. As a result of this, my mouse grip was slightly different in a way that made performing double clicks feel less natural than I was used to, and since I was winning by so much, I didn't ever imagine that something like this would be a problem. It was also much more important that my left clicks were visible. I've actually spoken to Swite about potentially meeting up and dueling on LAN in order to fully disprove the allegations. While this might seem extreme to some people, what you have to consider is that my entire livelihood has repeatedly been torn apart by people going after me like this, and it's simply become far too profitable at this point for people to stop anytime soon. So, Swite, if you're watching this, I want you to know that the door is still open on that offer,
You should
and I'd
also do them
appreciate being
RL.
given the opportunity to prove my legitimacy in such a concrete way. Now that we've gone over the four main videos on this topic, it's time to move on and discuss the macroing evidence that's been going around lately. What you're seeing on screen right now is a list of frame timings for both my respawn anchors and my mace attribute swaps. Since these timings are taken from montages and demonstrations, we can pretty easily rule out the respawn anchor evidence. This is because of the fact that the way in which I anchor practically requires you to have consistent timing for it to work, and if it didn't work, then obviously the clip would never be included in the video. There's not too many people who would want to watch messy gameplay when it comes to videos like these.
By the way, got tips for CPVP. I want to get better. You want to try and learn D-tapping, and you want to try and learn safe anchoring. That's the tips I can get for you.
On the other hand, though, the attribute swap evidence is slightly different. Unlike respawn anchors, which would very visibly disrupt the quality of gameplay if executed poorly, when it comes to attribute swaps, that's only half true. The fact that I never miss an attribute swap in my mace montage makes perfect sense, since failing one would completely ruin the clip. If you look at montages from other top players, the same behavior can obviously be seen. On the other hand, though, the timing at which I swap back to my sword after an attribute swap is far less important to the quality of a clip, yet I almost always seem to do so in exactly 3 frames. This is in fact unusual, however, not to the degree that people seem to think. In order for you to understand why that is, though, I'm going to need to explain how Minecraft actually processes inputs. Minecraft doesn't run continuously in real time, it operates on a tick-based system. The game updates at 20 ticks per second, meaning 1 tick every 50 milliseconds. Any inputs you perform during that 50 millisecond window don't execute immediately. They get queued and processed together on the next game tick. This is important because it means your actions aren't registered at precise moments, but are instead grouped into blocks of time. When I land a mace hit and immediately switch back to my sword, both inputs often fall into adjacent tick windows, which is why it usually shows up as 3 frames. In other words, what you're seeing isn't actually frame perfect timing, but rather the way in which Minecraft makes it appear so. With proper muscle memory, this pattern isn't nearly as unrealistic as people seem to think it
Muscle
is,
memory,
especially
yeah,
because of
I
the
guess
fact
that's
that the
possible.
montage was recorded
If
at a
you
lower
get
tick
muscle
rate.
memory, you'll always do it the
Ultimately,
same.
due to
You'll
the low sample size of this
always do it the
evidence,
same.
paired with the fact that it's taken from a montage, in no world should these timings be treated as conclusive proof, since with a better data set you'd see more variance. The logic being used against me here actually stems from a well-known concept called survivorship bias, which is when conclusions are formed solely from material that survives a filtering process. Since montages are a filtered dataset by design, you're not going to get the full picture in terms of statistics. Now that we've covered that, though, there's one more claim which I'd like to go over that's been gaining traction recently. I've seen a lot of people using clips of conjoined actions like these to accuse other people for hacking. What actually happened here was the person recording experienced lag that caused all of the actions to appear as if they happened at once when his game resynchronized. I've
Lag.
managed to
How can you
replicate this
prove that?
exact same thing a few times now under these
How you can
circumstances,
replicate it?
so it's safe to say that this was the case.
Hmm.
Now that we've gone through all of the accusations in this video, there's a few things I'd like to talk about. I feel like one thing that a lot of people don't understand is that there's an element of stamina when it comes to dealing with allegations like these. If you open up TikTok, for example, you'll see tons of people who randomly make claims that aren't true whatsoever. A lot of this started back when its real me made an appearance on the Unstable SMP, and I would end up becoming collectively hated across TikTok when I passed him shortly afterwards. This led to people going to great lengths to prop up its real me by stating that I only passed him because he got a job and went to college, when he was actually only in high school, and neither of these things were true.
Wait,
People would add on to this
wait,
by
it says
circulating
young. It
around
says in
tons
high
of
school?
completely made up rumors about me,
Huh.
which somehow regularly receive thousands of likes. The point I'm trying to make here is that whether or not rumors get spread about me is seemingly completely out of my control, since random unforeseen circumstances like its real me appearing in an unstable SMP video should normally have no negative effect on me, yet somehow it does. I don't even have a TikTok account, but one exists of me with over 100,000 followers. With the sheer quantity of false information that goes around regarding me, there's simply no possible way for me to keep up with it all. Yet it seems as though people are under the impression that for every new allegation that comes up, I'm intentionally dodging it if I do anything other than debunking it. Quite frankly, I find this way of living to be a bit depressing. If I don't respond to allegations, my reputation continually
Bro, poor
degrades itself
Marlo.
over
Marlo.
time and I end up being isolated.
Hope
But if I
Marlo's a
do
really
respond,
real
I have to put
person.
everything else in my
I
life
feel
on
really
hold and
bad for
spend my
Marlo.
time repeatedly debunking things. This is all a complete contrast to the act of spreading allegations, which in many cases requires nothing more than making confident statements in a way that implies that what's being said is simply a well known fact. The amount of stamina required from each side is simply disproportionate, and I'd appreciate if more people could keep that in mind. With that being said, thanks for watching.
Damn. Wow, bro. That was a crazy vid. I can't even lie. So, we still don't know. Is Marlow hacking? Probably not. Is Marlow Danger Mario? Probably not. But we can't know. That's the problem. We just can't know, and you know, we can't know. All right, that's crazy. Totally crazy. Well, I hope you guys enjoyed the live, and I'm gonna start a new one, but I just want to end it here because that was for the Marlow. So, guys, just make sure to refresh my page, and I'll see you in.